alive and well over there. I'm going to call this April 23rd, 2012 Commission for the Las Vegas Centennial to order, and we will pass you your, there we go.
It is me, right?
Your official, and do you have your Eldorado material there? Wonderful. Are we in compliance with the open meeting law?
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. If you wish to be heard, give your name for the record. The amount of discussion as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed may be limited. Anybody wish to say anything at this point? Hearing none, we will move on to item 4. May I have approval of the minutes of the January 30th, 2012 meeting for the Commission for the Las Vegas Centennial? May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Thank you. There is a motion. Please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Abstain. Okay, that carries. Thank you very much. That was Senator Bryan. You did get that. Your governor. I mean, we can go on every time.
Just the old pensioner gets it.
Triple dipper.
Okay, item 5, discussion for possible action to elect annual officers for 2012-2013. Terry Ponticello will present the officers.
Thank you, Madam Chair Goodman.
Thank you.
Every year, as a nonprofit corporation, there's an annual election of officers. And this corporation's annual list is due in June of this year. So since we don't have a board meeting until July, I believe, I have submitted to you a proposed slate of officers. This is everything listed here is basically the same as it was last year, with the exception of removing Scott Adams as a vice president and having Ted Olivas as our new vice president. So I'm submitting that, and I recommend approval.
Has he been vetted?
I think it's a good position.
You think so?
I think so for him. I think he carries, with the legislature coming up, he'll do well for the Centennial.
Well, there should be a period of redemption for him. We're old Ted, huh? Thank you, Senator. I would be pleased if it's in order to make such a motion to approve the proposed list.
I would certainly appreciate that. We have a motion. Please vote by signifying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Abstentions? None. It carries. Thank you very much. And welcome aboard.
Don't disappoint us, Ted. We've invested a lot in you.
All right, we'll move on to item 6, discussion for possible action regarding a resolution authorizing certain officers as corporate signatories on checks, expenditures, and other financial matters related to the Commission, and providing for all other matters properly related thereto. Terry Ponticello will present the resolution.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Chair. In conjunction with the annual list of officers that were just approved, we need to also prepare a resolution that now authorizes the current list of officers to sign on all contracts, all checks, all expenditures. As background, anything over $100,000 that I have here requires the approval or ratification of the Las Vegas City Council. So the Centennial Commission cannot go without on any type of contract obligation over $100,000 unless it goes to the City Council. Any expenditure between $25,000 to $100,000 requires 2 signatures, and anything under $25,000 requires 1 signature of an officer. So,
And these are only from funds within the Centennial, correct?
funds within
No
the
other
Centennial,
funds.
and any other financial disbursements, even between the City of Las Vegas and the Centennial Commission. Same type of signature.
How many signatures are required, Jack?
Well, it depends on the amount. If it's under $25,000, it requires 1 signature. Between $25,000 to $100,000, it requires 2 signatures. Over $100,000 only requires 1 signature, but also the approval of the Las Vegas City Council.
Your Honor,
Yes, please.
I really think that all checks should have dual signature. Perhaps it was done at a time when it was not convenient to round up signatories, but we have 4 members of the staff currently on this as proposed officers, and I suspect we just approved them. So we've got 4 people on this payroll. I don't know why we can't have 2 signatories on every check, regardless of the amount, up to those who need to be approved.
Councilman Coffin,
Why
the
is
reason, and you're absolutely correct. When Centennial was in its heyday in 2005, things were moving very fast and furious, and it was very hard at times to get 2 signatures or find the signatures of the appropriate people. I have no objection. I don't know if staff has any input to that, or any of the officers have any input in requiring 2 signatures. But you can certainly revise the resolution that I prepared to have 2 signatures for all checks.
Okay, let me ask you another question. Who audits this particular fund?
We're audited every year on, I know you're going to say, on 2 different, 2 separate locations or 2 separate companies. We are audited every year, first of all, by Carson City, and we give them a full financial reporting, and then Cafori, don't know their name, I apologize.
Yeah.
Yes, do our auditing every year, so
Okay.
we're audited by 2 separate.
I was wondering if, since the city auditor does not report to anybody on this list here, is it appropriate to have the city auditor as an internal auditor on this account, or is it really necessary? Because it's not a lot of movement of money. I don't suspect not too many disbursements.
We've never
Because-
had them as a signatory on.
No, not as a signatory.
Okay, just for audit purposes?
Yeah.
I think they did initially, at one time, did an audit, but I don't think they've come around.
Seems like you need an internal audit, which the auditor then certifies the accuracy of the internal auditor's work, as opposed to, you've got a gigantic audit, and this is one of many, many funds, but it's a significant fund. I don't know whether the outside auditors ever really look at it.
We, between reporting to Carson City every year, everything on expenditures, and making sure everything balances, and just the audits that have to be done by Kurt Armstrong, those so far.
Okay, it's exposed enough.
If you feel a need to get an internal audit done by our city auditor, you can certainly request.
I don't think it's necessary now that I think about it. After you've said it again,
Councilman, let me just kind of go over the process with you. Once a grant is approved by the board of the Centennial, Terry Ponicello then writes an agreement, and that agreement is signed between the Centennial Commission and the applicant. And then they have to provide us all of their backup materials, and then we issue checks, which goes through city processing and with the 2 signatures. So I think, and the funds are so limited, it's not like we have any other city funds. They're absolutely limited to the Centennial Fund. So unless you would like to add more to that, I think we've done.
no, but I think the dual signatures would really be the big thing.
Question, beyond the awards from the Centennial, are there any other ongoing expenses that would require, that you're writing $100 checks, $200 checks, that would become minutia and a waste of time as far as dual signatures, but if it's just, pretty large grants all the time?
There are some smaller ones that are 5,000, not in hundreds, but a couple of thousand up to 5,000 that I think I've just signed on because they're just smaller amounts. But again, everything goes through the Centennial auditing. But I am more than comfortable if you want 2 signatures on everything.
Yeah,
I think
small
that's
check
good.
here
I
is
know in our
5,000,
prior
it's a good
business, it's just, if the smallest check's 1,000, it is. There's so many people on staff here that it would be easy. I think it would just be a check and balance that really covers the one person that was signing, so I would agree with that.
idea. Thank you, ma'am.
So do we then have a motion to, have you read the resolution? No. Are you going to pass it out?
Please.
I will pass that.
Thank you. But that was the essence of it?
And it's the resolution we've actually had in place for probably the last couple of years.
So the only thing would be the amendment by Councilman Coffin to make it dual signatures all the way, correct?
Correct. Actually, what it would require is
You've got 3 paragraphs, you change it to 1.
In the second resolve, even though it's going to go to city council, we'll put in 2 signatures. We would keep the third resolve paragraph.
Just all other checks.
I think all
All
other
checks,
checks.
all checks.
Yeah, and we could delete the fourth resolve.
Okay.
So I'll make those changes.
So if you would make your motion, it would be
Well, I would
with
move
those
to
changes?
amend this commission resolution with the additional, with the change being that 2 signatures will be required on all checks. You don't have to then add any additional language.
Okay, comfy with that?
Yes.
All right, there's a motion. Would you please vote by voice, please? All
Aye.
in support?
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstaining? Motion carries. Thank you very much. We'll move on to item 7, report for possible action regarding the fiscal year budget 2012-2013. This will be presented by Esther Carter.
I am not the one that typically does the budget report to you, but Sean Williams wasn't able to come today, so you get to hear the report from me. I don't know if you brought your budgets that the clerks mailed to you. Don't have any other copies. I'm just going to run through it really quick. I think I don't have to explain this to you, but what I wanted to do, again, because Councilman Coffin is new, is just give you an update on our license revenue, because this is kind of fun to hear these numbers. It's actually a little staggering, but it's fun to hear.
You're talking about the car
The
driver's license plates.
Revenue. So back in 2004, when we first started, the plates came out in 2003, so our first funds that we received in 2004 was $632,801. In 2005, we jumped to $2,256,636. In 2006, we dropped a little bit to $1,367,317. In 2007, we went up a little to $1,576,601. 2008, $1,709,095. 2009, $1,708,907. 2010, $1,656,532. And last year, $1,680,697. So that's pretty staggering numbers that we've received from the license plates. BMV, takes their share. So I thought I would let you guys know that's kind of fun. So if you look at the average over the last 4 years, we've been right around 1.6 million. So that's kind of what we base our budget on this year, is 1.6 million. Excuse me, I've got a little cold on down with right now. Some changes that we are making to the budget this year. We have carried a line item, a maintenance line item for the past, since 2005. This is if we had historical markers or some of the murals, if they got damaged during the 5 years that we said we would take care of them. We allocated some funding for them. We only used a little bit of that during those 5 years, and because we're now 7 years into that, I'm going to delete that line item. We just don't need that anymore. Our agreement with everybody was to carry it through for 5 years. So that money, we had $41,000. That's going to move into just the general grant fund. So that gave us a little bit of money. We also had the Mesquite Club had $5,000 unused from the grant they received last year, so we're moving that into the general grant fund. So a reallocation of $46,590 went into the general grant fund. So this year, moving forward into the 2012-2013 budget, we're carrying forward some of the projects that we haven't paid yet. The West Side School, we will have the $500,000 bond allocation each year for them. We'll have the $300,000 for Eldorado, $130,000 for the parade. The Las Vegas Springs Preserve, they were awarded grant 2 years ago, and they're just now starting to spend their money, so we'll have some line items that will carry over a little bit. In our last board meeting, the Neon Signs on Sticks made a proposal to you. They're going to come back. They've got a whole plan that will show you how all of the neon signs on sticks will go down the Las Vegas Boulevard corridor. So we are allocating, just as a line item, this is just to show you where we're at with the budget, $500,000 for them. And then,
For how much, excuse me, for what?
$500,000 for the neon signs on sticks.
One
It
shot?
won't- No, it's a few signs that they'll show you how, and they're working on a whole detailed plan to show you where the signs will be placed on Las Vegas Boulevard. Now, just know, when I say that, that's a line item that we're just putting in the budget to show you that we've got the money to do that. If you choose to not fund that, when they come in, they'll probably present in, maybe in July. You can approve it or you cannot. If you don't approve it, that money will just go stay in the budget.
That's a one-time,
Yes.
expense for this year that they're looking for.
Do you have copies of that for the committee?
We always should have, we really, for every meeting, should always have a copy of the expenditures.
I can,
Please, if you would.
Madam Chair, we will have to recess the meeting while I do this, but I'm not going to be present.
Okay,
So,
thank you. Thanks, Terry.
Can you lose your quorum?
thanks.
I apologize. I thought copies for, sorry, for our withdrawal copies.
No problem.
So that you will just carry until they come in July, make their proposal,
Yes.
whether it's granted or not, but you have the funds reserved.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then, probably all of you are aware that the state of Nevada is starting to make their plans for their Centennial. I'm saying that right. That will be 2013 through 2014, all right? They're doing it the fiscal year instead of year to year. Back when Clark County did their Centennial, we gave them $100,000, so we will ask Peter Barton with the Centennial Committee to come in and make a proposal to you to give them $100,000 for their planning. And just so you know, Nevada State is also trying to get a license plate, which could or could not hurt this commission and the funding. that
Sorry,
we
stop.
receive.
Who, you just said Nevada State.
Yes, the state of Nevada is proposing to do a license plate to get as a funding source for their Centennial.
Oh, they're like, oh, yeah, okay. The 125th, it
That's
had a special
150.
plate.
150.
Yeah,
And who do they ask for that permission?
they'll make a presentation to you too in July.
But I believe that that's going to require legislative
Yeah.
action. And for the record, I'm on that commission. I was appointed by the governor. So a lot of the
Which
things-
commission?
Yeah.
The sequential or the
Yeah.
license plate?
Centennial.
Sesquicentennial.
Okay.
planning group. And interestingly enough, a lot of the things that they're talking about, there's only been one meeting, and Esther attended that on my behalf, I was out of town. A lot of the things that they're doing coincide with what we did for our Centennial celebration. So, you can really take our book, say, yeah, okay, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. So it's really helpful to the group, and Esther's provided that to them. So they'll be, I guess, this Peter Barton is the director of the state
Museums.
museums, and so he'll be coming and giving a pitch on their behalf.
So this would be the sesquicentennial plate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I believe, and I wasn't there as part of the discussion, it's got to take legislative action.
I would
Yes,
think
it
so.
does.
Yeah.
I would think so.
I got the
Yes.
blade.
I don't know that there was anything set aside at the last session, that, we would have known that, so we'll,
You would think they would have voted on it last session. They didn't, huh?
I don't know.
I wouldn't think it'd be particularly any controversy with you. I mean, we may not be able to agree on much, but, counting to 150 is something we might be able to get both caucuses to support. I think that.
Hopefully so.
You want to start counting, Senator?
The two words, license plates, it really gets the ears of the legislature.
It does worry me if you start to get too many things like I see,
You may doubt whether I can count to 150, but Carl Sandburg spoke at the sesquicentennial
What
of
did
the
he
birth
say?
of Abraham Lincoln when I graduated from the University of Nevada,
Oh.
and I had to count to 150.
You really need to know your Latin to know how to divide these up. I have a question.
I have nothing else to say.
Yes, please.
Well, we have to be careful because so much is starting to get committed, the bonding. That's always made me nervous, but we have to be very careful. You know, we have bond coverage there, we're $500,000 a year there, and if we have other items, we've got to be careful what it is that people are considering to be permanent before we go any further. 'Cause like the rodeo thing, I think that was discussed last year as having been what I thought was the last time, or maybe one more time, that money would be granted.
No, actually, and I wish Bob Stovall was here to talk about that. He wanted money set aside every year to guarantee that Eldorado would continue.
Well, then you've already got half your money committed long-term, which becomes a problem. It takes away your flexibility. The purpose of the legislation, which I was the sponsor of, was for historic preservation only. And one has to consider, you know, at what time do you start to take people off the, got not get coarse here, how do you get people off the nursing stage and their venturers and get them into permanent self-sustainability?
Are you speaking Eldorado or?
Eldorado's one example, but there could be anybody that starts to rely on these things. I mean, one shot's your safer way to go. We have a chance to get hold of and move the Victory Hotel, the oldest standing usable building in the city right now. It's the owner of the land is willing to give it to us, and all we have to do is move it. Well, that's going to take money. But it's a one-shot expense, and it's preservation. Things like that are probably available around the town. The more and more of these long-term things we commit to that are, you know, not one-shots,
Well, and
run into a problem.
I
Pretty
have
soon
a
you'll be voting on
thought.
$1,000.
Could we come up with, you know, thinking about the 150-year license plate, is there something that we can come up with that will continue to sell the 100-year one with a medallion to affix to it for the 150 years?
Well,
So
our
that
city's
we
not
can
150.
continue,
You know,
some way to keep the purchase
attractive
of
thing with our
the
license
Centennials.
plate is the Welcome to Las Vegas sign. That's what everybody
Yeah.
likes.
Right.
So I don't know.
It's an attractive
what,
plate.
You know, if the state of Nevada, what they'll come up with, I don't know if they'll do something Battleborn or something like that. I think it may ding us a little bit in the beginning. If they even get a license plate on, I mean, their event is coming up pretty quick.
Yeah.
And if it hasn't even gone to the legislative yet for approval, I'm not even
Well,
sure
but
where
that
they're
have
at in
to be
that process. I
When
don't
would
know
they have to
that
be in front of the
Well, the
legislature?
next
that will
session.
go drop too far down, but that's always been a concern, especially when we looked at the bonding, carrying money out that far, those many years. But
Mayor, I would think that the sesquicentennial plate might have an impact on us.
Yeah.
I think so too.
You know, I mean, that would be kind of a collector's item to have on your car. I would think, I remember when the Centennial plate came out, you know, in 1964.
Silver and blue.
And, you know, silver and blue, you know, and then so I don't know what the impact would be, but I think it could have some impact, at least.
It would be interesting to see the demographics of who has our plate, because I would almost argue that it's the younger generation that seems to flock to that more because it's an attractive-looking,
Yeah.
cool plate, and I think that's what is keeping it or sustaining its level. That's my opinion. I don't know if that's true, but so it'd be interesting to see what they come up with.
Yeah.
Quick question: you mentioned 500,000 for sticks or signs on sticks. I see signs on sticks. The line item for 30,000. Am I in the wrong thing?
That's
no,
like
that
two
was their-
ways.
That was their last one. Copy.
Oh, is it for
Yeah,
fiscal
this is just this fiscal year.
2013?
Sorry. Yes.
14?
This is just ending.
Okay. And-
But other than, those are the only two additional projects that we would add on for
Well, to that end,
this coming year.
what are we left with if you plug in all those line items?
If we plug in those two, if you take what we have to carry over that hasn't been paid out yet, the 500,000 for the bond project for this year, the Eldorado, our internal costs, our legal, we have those additional administrative costs. We still have $1 million in a year, and that even is with we always have a reserve, so we have a $320,000 reserve. So we still have $1 million to spend in a year.
You did say if we carry over what hasn't been spent, but is some of that already
It's
allocated?
committed. I mean, you've got like the West Side School, that's already in there. You've got Las Vegas Springs Preserve, we still owe them about $30,000. You've got some of the,
So what if you remove what we've committed? That's what I'm trying to get at.
they
What's
don't
much
have-
flexibility anymore?
What are we left with?
If we remove what we've,
What's committed?
then you
And-
have $1.5 million.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Aren't you asking how much we have obligated ourselves before we even get to the variable expenses?
I'm trying to find out what the bottom line is. After committing everything, and if we plug in the new line items, what's left at the end of the year?
$1,091,000.
This number over here on the right,
Yeah.
over here.
Is there another way of phrasing it, maybe? Are you asking for what is our variable expense if we have committed $500,000 for the West Side School, which we are obligated now permanently, and any other theoretical permanent items? What are we really playing with? Is that maybe what it is? Like,
You
what
can
have we
ask
got
Billy.
really? 200, 300, 400,000? What is it we're really playing with each year?
If you take all of the grants that we have on this page, that's where we're at right now. And you add in the 500,000 for neon signs on sticks, the 100,000 for the Centennial. You still give the Colorado, the old timers, you've got the internal charges. You've got $1 million left at the end of that.
I think the way he's trying to phrase it is moving year to year, if with all the commitments we've made with West Side School, Eldorado, there's ones where we've committed every year to do.
Right.
Based on our 1.6 average that's coming in, what are we left with to play with? And play is not the right word. What are we left with to make decisions with?
Well, just know, you've always had that reserve. There's $350,000.
Yeah, but
It's
take
about
that-
300,000, isn't it about 300,000 a year now? Because you're getting about 1.6, here you're spending 1.2. So really, all you have, if you allocated this, is 300,000.
You're right.
That's a number got to watch,
Yes,
because that's where your sesquicentennial expense, loss of revenue could come from.
right. Sorry, I'm not,
And the commitment on the West Side School's 10 years, right?
pardon.
On the West Side
It was
School.
a 10-year.
Is that the longest one that's a continuum of all?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what's committed.
Now, can I ask a question, Your Honor? On the line item sesquicentennial, why would we be contributing 100,000 to that?
When I talked to Betsy about it, we gave Clark County 100,000, so we just thought we would be fair in giving the state of Nevada 100,000.
No, we're not the cash cow for the state. I really object to that, because they're going to be taking the money from their own license plates. I certainly would strike that before we go any further.
You do have a point. The county didn't do a play. But
No, I just don't think it's a smart idea to give them the money, though, you know what I'm saying? They don't give us anything.
I have a question, but do you have a question as well? The request that comes before this board, do they come before the board in the form of a presentation, and the board makes the decision on what is to be allocated, or individuals from the outside of the board members can suggest that we do things with our money and then we basically adjust it accordingly? Help me understand that, because this falls under an area, and correct me if I'm wrong, this 100,000, and I'm not speaking for or against it, but as far as the position of it, I was under the impression after looking at it, this is a category for monies to be offered to a specific entity, correct? And did the board have any say in regards to it being placed in this category, or should it have been placed in the suggested, recommended category? Help me understand
We just
that.
put it in as a line item.
Yeah, we haven't voted for
See
this.
where the budget is. Yeah, they haven't they haven't gone through the grant process yet. So they will fill out the grant application just like everybody does. And Councilman, I will email you that grant application. I can't remember if I did that yet when we were on board. But everybody has a grant application regardless who they are. They have to fill out the grant application. We then schedule them to come in and meet with you. You will get a copy of the grant application from the clerk's office, sends out the agenda and all the backup material, so you have time to review it before the board meeting. And then they come in, they make their presentation, and you vote on it.
I can understand what Councilman Barlow is saying, though it does give the perception that it's already been approved by this board, when in fact it's a placeholder, and maybe it needs to be indicated as such.
Right. But
Mayor, may I ask
should it
a
even be a
question?
placeholder?
If I leave, does that deprive the?
Yes.
You know what, I'll tell you
What
what.
action items do we have?
We have the budget, okay, so let's, just for a moment, let me take a look. We have this budget for action, we have a tabled item regarding a grant request from Deirdre Clemente, who I see here, and that needs it, and the report by Dwayne and Esther. El Dorado is a report, and citizen participation will have no action. So, let's do Deirdre, do you think, quickly, and then we'll come back to the budget, see if we can move this.
I apologize, this meeting was just called earlier today, Mayor, I've been here for the whole time.
Well, let's see how rapidly but thoroughly we can do this.
Well, what we can do, you can look at the budget and just know that we can change it. However, when those are line items, we can take it out now. That was just showing you if those two come in, they make proposals to you, you can approve it or not. This is just to give you an idea if we did do those, what the budget would be. So you can accept the budget now. Doesn't mean that we've committed that funding at all. They're not committed until you hear the grant application and you approve it.
But that's not to say that other proposals wouldn't come that will line up next to this, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think we can vote on the budget today. I don't-
Right, unless you make another column and take them out.
Right.
So these are the pending to be proposed later. So maybe,
Maybe the change of language would help too.
Oh, yeah. Well, who-
So
who
we
are
all know what's,
so when's our next meeting and when, what happens? Or-
Well, they'll come in, they'll make, and I don't even know if the neon signs on sticks will be ready to make a proposal to you in July.
We attended a meeting in July last year, and it was the first meeting of the year.
Oh, right,
And that's
it was
where we
the first
voted on the
one.
budget. We
Yes,
voted
it
on the
was.
budget then.
That's correct.
So we don't
So
have to
can
vote
you
on the
pull
budget
this
today.
out and put that in a different format for us, please?
Yeah,
And so we will obey this to the July meeting, if that works?
and that way I'll make sure
You wanna
Joe
make the
is here so he can talk
Okay.
language to you.
Your Honor, I move that we obey the approval of the budget of the Centennial Commission to the July meeting.
Thank you. There's a motion. Please vote signifying by aye.
July.
July what, please, Esther?
I believe it's July 23rd.
July 23rd. Please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, none. So this will carry over. Let's move on then. I don't even remember what item, that was 7. All right, so that's obeyed. We will move on to item 8, which is a tabled item. And then please feel free to go. Discussion for possible action regarding grant request in the amount of $35,000 from Deirdre Clemente on behalf of Preserve Nevada to conduct a historic preservation sustainability symposium. Deirdre Clemente will make her presentation. There you are. Welcome back.
Hi, thanks for having me back, and thanks for all the help the committee has provided in me sort of moving forward with our symposium. So I'll share everybody my mediocre PowerPoint because I know we have time issues, but I wanted to, for people who were here for the last meeting, give you a quick brief rundown of the symposium. Preserve Nevada, in conjunction with UNLV, is looking to have a symposium that deals with 2 critical issues on historic preservation and sustainability. The first is historic preservation as sustainability, so we're going to do a lot of things on urban renewal and urban revitalization in city centers. And the second theme of the symposium is on large-scale renewable energy projects and how do you reconcile sort of moving forward with a lot of those large-scale renewable energy projects, of which Nevada has quite a few. And how do you reconcile that with historic landscapes and view sheds and sort of who are the people involved in those kind of conversations, bringing all those voices to the table and giving demonstrations of case studies and having an open forum. So it's not a conference, it's a symposium, which in academic circles means everybody gets together and talks and shares ideas and you give case studies and it's a national symposium. It'll be held on the 30th of November and the 1st of December at the State Museum of Nevada here in Las Vegas. And so since we last met, you guys asked me to do some things, done them with the help of a lot of good people like Esther Carter. So one of the first things you asked was to clarify partners, and we did that. We have a commitment from Brookings West. They're going to bring in one of our big speakers. I'm not sure who it is, from DC. We partnered with Urban Sustainability Initiative and Eat Labs at UNLV, and we partnered with the National Council on Public History, and they've agreed to be primary in helping us promote this event. So the promotion and sort of the marketing event of this event has really developed a lot since our last meeting. Second thing you asked us to do was consult the experts, and we certainly did that. LBCBA was awesome. They told me how to do this, which they don't teach you that in graduate school. And so I worked with Chris Meyer and Ken Haas down there. We got a partner hotel. We found a place to have our opening party. And we got a lot of sort of the fees associated with that opening party waived. We're going to have it at the Mob Museum on the night of November 30th. And so those guys were very helpful. They also helped us with a lot of sort of the details as how do you register people for an event like this, that kind of thing. Second, so we partnered with them. We talked to Tom Perigo from you guys. He was very helpful in identifying a lot of ways that we can market this symposium to a national audience or national attention in Las Vegas. And most significantly, he hooked us up with the person who's going to be our event organizer, whose name is Sherry Farkas from Green Chef. So she's going to really be an important person in moving forward. You asked us to solidify the agenda. We've done that. We have a list of breakout sessions. And
Can I interrupt you for just a minute, with the mayor's permission?
Sure.
Because governor's got to leave. We got to get to the nuts of it all, really.
Okay, go ahead.
You're at the point where are you still needing the 35,000?
No, we've asked for 20. That's actually.
I move for the approval of $20,000 to Preserve Nevada to conduct a historic preservation sustainability symposium in November of 2012.
Second the motion.
There's a motion, please vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Good job.
Motion carries. Congratulations, hard work. Thank you, Esther. Thank you, Governor. Thank you.
Myself to the doctor, too.
All right, thank you, councilman. Have a good time. Did you take everything? Don't you give your son, councilman, you've got to give him his Eldorado.
Oh, you know what? I want to take the magnet.
Take the magnet. Deirdre,
Thank
congratulations.
you guys. I appreciate all your
Supporter.
support. I appreciate the support.
Wonderful.
Please thank Ross.
We expect invitations,
Yes.
invitations.
Erica, please thank Rossi. He was a giant on this. Okay. We are now going to move on to the report. It's 10 minutes of 4. We are going to go on to the report by Dwayne LeDuc and Esther Carter regarding the 2012 Eldorado Day Rodeo and Parade. Dwayne and Esther, and what wonderful gifts you've given us once again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, if I may ask, I just need to check with the city attorney to make sure we can continue, even though we don't have any more.
You are not, you maintain a quorum until someone calls for a quorum. If someone suggests the absence of a quorum, then you have a problem.
We have no forum, Madam Chair. So at this time, typically, you call a meeting, you have a quorum. So
Correct.
quorum, we have no meeting.
All right, at this
So we've
point,
been
can we
notified.
just
Now we've
have an
been told.
information session?
Now the city attorney has stopped the meeting because she suggested the absence of a quorum.
The only thing that can possibly be done is just, the person wants to give information, but it's not a meeting.
Well, it's just
Okay.
information
It's
anyway.
an informational session anyway, because we don't have it, so can it just be, well, it's just a now you don't even probably have to keep a record that the quorum,
I think you can't you?
okay.
As a-
Well, it'd be nice for information,
Can be no deliberation.
right, just
There's
a
no vote.
question.
No discussion, no.
Right, okay, here
We
we
can ask
go.
questions, though. That's not
All
deliberation
right,
amongst the
Dwayne, don't be
members.
shy. We still love you, and we want to hear from you.
Say what I want, you can't say.
Right.
No, I think, may I say this, though, before you do speak, that deliberation means argument, discussion amongst the members of a commission. You can ask questions of a witness without discourse between and amongst the members of the
You need to
group,
be
can't you?
very careful.
Right.
Because discourse can lead to other questions,
No, we're not serially, you know,
Overall, can be.
And
We won't
plus,
do
your
anything
committee
serially.
wouldn't have heard the whole thing.
and we're not
so-
going to vote anyway.
You
right?
can't.
No,
No, so please present,
just listen.
Thank you.
please. And thank you for the gifts.
You bet. El Dorado Days is really on schedule this year. We're in good shape, better than last year, thanks to this committee allowing us to have that money, and I would like to talk with you about that later, since we can't do it in a meeting, and anyway, we would vote on it anyway. But there are some reasons why Bob Strodahl had mentioned to have that money every year, because this rodeo putting it on downtown here is my partner's already telling me to hurry up. That's okay, I put up with it for 7 years. It costs a lot of money to put it on down there. We know it's almost $550,000 to build the arena and pay for everything. The nice part about that, those dollars are going back into the community. Only $80,000 of it is going out to an outside source in California to a stock contractor. So it does help the community, it does help us get everything built, and it does allow us then to give back 100% of the tickets that are sold. The dollars that we get in for those rodeo tickets goes back to the kids. And that's what we're all about. Last year was $80,000 total. We made $50,000 on rodeo ticket sales, but we also made $30,000 more on other things. So we're able to do that. But this year, the budget was $537,000 to do it. Hopefully it stays that way once I get it done here in 4 weeks. But we raised $537,000. Now, I don't know how we would make up for any other shortages that we had, but it's tough. You know, the times are tough. Things are getting better, but we're building a good rapport with our sponsors. They're loving it. They're enjoying it. They're glad to see that it's growing every year. Participation. We've been able to do good in the community. We're having fun with it. This year we spent $125,000 on advertising. Got another $140,000 in kind advertising by putting tickets out there and getting kids to come. It's just very, very positive. Our group has grown. More and more members are joining the lodge. We now have 60 people on our committee. When we started here, it was me, Esther, and 2 other people. So it's gone a long way, and we get nothing but positive feedback. The next positive thing, which is great, our ticket sales, our free ticket sales, which we didn't have the first couple of years, is well over $12,000 already. Now, last year it wasn't even up to $9,000. So we can see it, we can gauge it, and see that it's really getting better. If you have any questions for me, of course, we're going to be sending out a sheet, of course, because this is considered a sponsor of the El Dorado Days, and everybody will be our guests at the rodeo. And these little things like this that we put out, we've even got some products we're doing. So we're taking baby steps, little times, but the magnets and some license plate holders for all those Vegas license plates. I love them. Every time I see one driving by, I just have to smile, even though they're going fast. They're probably the fastest drivers in town. The ones that have that plate on their car. But, everything is positive. We've got some flyers here for you and some posters. Be happy to take those with you. And can't ask questions, but if you had any, I'm sure people.
Well, we can ask, we just can't have a discussion, right? Isn't it?
Well, even if you ask, you're sort of leaving others out. The only thing I would suggest is perhaps that you come back in the July meeting to carry further. You'll be in a wrap-up situation from this year, and then hopefully we'll have a quorum, and we can move forward in any items that you said earlier on that you wanted to discuss, because Mr. Stoldahl isn't here. And so that's what I would highly recommend you do.
Yeah, I'll see you at Las Vegas events. Next week, is it? Or is it this week?
This Wednesday, I'm meeting with LVE.
Yeah, I'm on
about
that
the
board.
Yes.
experience,
Yeah,
but-
so
But if it's the board meeting you're talking about.
how much are you getting from Las Vegas events? It's in the budget.
Las Vegas events, we're getting $50,000.
Thank you.
That's what we use for the outside advertising, for bringing people into town.
Can I ask, just out of curiosity, what the total ticket sales were last year?
Last year was 50,000.
Okay.
50,000 is what we had.
Break
total.
even.
And this year, my goal is to make that $100,000 figure. I told this committee when we first started, I told Steve Ross that you want to have a rodeo, you can't make money on a rodeo. You have to have other things with it in order to make that happen. We're trying very hard to do it where we can make it, but when you have to build up and tear down every year, if we had a permanent facility, it would be much different. But we are.
Bring
we're
that in
growing
July.
Every year.
Bring that in July.
I will.
Could you put them on the agenda, please?
Yeah, because we'll be doing the.
You'll wrap up anyway.
Yeah, I'll have all the numbers, final
Thank
numbers,
you.
and everything else, total counts and everything for you. on
Thank
that.
you.
So,
Thank you for the goodies, too.
You bet.
I appreciate it.
Anytime.
And since there are no members of the public here, there's no public comment, and we are adjourning even though we've